Now Elijah Wood is an exception. He was in Set Up Punch this year, and he just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
And he's on camera the whole time. So I would think that one little short is a great example of how, you know what, just because you're a name, don't dismiss these short films. You know what I mean? But I mean, are there many exceptions? Do you get a lot of name actors in the short films?
There are always a handful of actors. In this year, we have Night Shift Belongs to the Stars, which stars Nastasha Kinski and Julian Sands. I have another short called Ice, which stars Kevin Corrigan. Another short called The River, which stars Lauren Ambrose.
Okay, so
Dominic West in Girl with the Mechanical Maiden. I think it depends on the tenacity of the filmmaker.
Okay.
If the filmmaker has the tenacity and can really pitch solidly the role to an actor, I think actors love doing short films.
Right.
They have fun with it. It's a short time commitment. I've seen quite a few named people in shorts. Judi Dench made a hysterical short called, I think, Friend Request Pending, about these two older ladies who are on the computer. And, why would she do that? But it's fun for them.
I agree. It's not a big time commitment for
Yeah.
them, and it gives them a chance to be, they're really the only star probably in it. So it gives them a chance to really shine. I was going to wait, but you said something interesting before the interview started about what you're doing now for past filmmakers and present ones. Would you like to tell what that is about the website?
Yeah, we've just launched a YouTube channel called Picture Show in partnership with Maker Studios. And the idea is almost threefold, actually. We are creating original shorts to air on the channel using both Tribeca and Maker talent. As well, that's one element of the channel. Another element of the channel is the curation of shorts that pre-exist, both from past Tribeca festivals as well as shorts that I'm curating from out in the world. And then we have also different projects that are going to appear on the channel. We're looking for writers to write funny stuff for us to produce to go on the channel. So it's a combination of bringing together the web audience with our Tribeca Festival audience, right? There are two different expectations there. So we're basically looking primarily for comedy and genre right now. That's what's going to be there. But we want there to be a place on the web where people know they can go to see, quote unquote, real short films.
Okay.
Short films that have existed in the festival arena and are really normally inaccessible to the mainstream public. And now they can go watch them for free.
Right. Well, I think that's great. And you're the first festival to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's.
I mean, there have been initiatives that have, like our own Tribeca Online Festival that occurs concurrent with the physical Bricks and Mortar Festival. And I know Sundance and other festivals have an online component as well. But this exists on its own. This is separate from the festival.
This is year round.
Yeah.
Yeah, all year round, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so approximately every 2 weeks, we'll be launching a new short on that channel.
Well, I think that's great exposure. That's a great outlet.
And what we're hoping to do, what I think makes this really great, Rudy, is that if we can generate the excitement for these films and have this viewer loyalty so that every 2 weeks they're going to come back and watch what we put up next, that provides a life for these short films that have run through the festival circuit that they never have had before without a myriad of workload, either drawing people through their Facebook page or social media or their own website. But we launched the channel softly, and in a week we had 45,000 views.
Oh wow! Yeah, that's good.
That's great, and
That's a lot
that's
of
with
hits.
not even advertising it. That's just people kind of tumbling onto it.
Right, and it stands on its own. It's not conducive of a Facebook page or
correct.
anything like
It
that.
lives all on its own. So I'm very excited to see if the public embraces this, because we know, listen, I'll be the first one to say that aside from the Oscar shorts and aside from certain animation, people are not going to pay to watch short films online. It's not going to happen. It doesn't work. Everybody's tried it. Everybody's failed. So instead, let's look at this differently. Let's look at bringing the work to the public in a different way and not making them pay. We have to figure out a way to sustain that channel financially, but let the public watch. Let
Right.
them enjoy them. Let's. It's almost like a matchmaking. Like we're putting the public in with the
Sure.
work, and that's fun. I'm so excited to see how it goes.
Well, I think it's going to go great. That sounds unbelievable. Now, you just mentioned something about Oscars. You've got something to be proud of.
Yes.
You had a couple of films that were in this festival that made it to the Oscars, because one of my questions is going to be, have any of your films ever gone further?
Yeah.
And sure enough, you can't get further than that, right?
Well, we are now this year a qualifying festival for both the narrative short and for the first time the documentary short.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
yes, so the winner of both of those awards will qualify it for potential nomination, provided that the film meets all the eligibility requirements of the Academy. But this year was very great because we had Assad, which made its world premiere at Tribeca, and we had Curfew, which also showed at the festival. They both got nominated, and Curfew won. So
Yeah.
2 out of 5 is not bad.
Right. No. Hey, that's
That's good gambling odds for me.
Yeah. Like I said, it also shows your you have an eye
Yeah,
for obviously what's good in the format in that format,
yeah.
which is why I'm interviewing you.
Yeah.
In addition, we kind of already touched on that. Most filmmakers, especially aspiring ones, they always start out with a short. Do you feel a tremendous amount of pressure that, entry in your festival could change their lives? You know what I mean? A short in Tribeca could actually change a filmmaker's life. It could turn them into, a waiter. If it, you know what I mean? So, I mean, is there a tremendous amount of pressure on the short film programmers for that reason?
I think in order to do this job, you have to take it very seriously. It's not cartoons. I'm not sitting at home watching cartoons. I know that every filmmaker that submits their film to Tribeca does so believing that their film is going to be judged by someone with a clear head and an open heart. I take this job very, very seriously because I do know what getting into Tribeca can do for that filmmaker. I talked to a filmmaker this morning, one of our experimental filmmakers. Now, we have an experimental program as well, which is programmed by John Gartenberg. But one of the filmmakers came up to me, and she's from Sweden, and she said to me that her work has been rejected from the Museum of Modern Art in Sweden, because it's experimental. And just by getting invited to Tribeca, they now invited her to be in the museum.
Wow.
And she said, everything, my world just changed entirely. And I've been having conversations with our filmmakers that, have gotten a lot of attention from producers, or agents, managers, all sorts of people because the film shows here. So I know that, is there pressure? Yeah, there's pressure on me to protect the integrity of the process. That's the pressure. I, never want that to be infringed on. So, films get in because we see something in them that makes them work for our festival. That because they don't get in doesn't mean they're bad films. It means that they just, necessarily don't work. But the pressure is keeping the bar as high as we have.
Okay.
That's the pressure.
Well, okay. So that's an interesting point. It's like you said, you take your job very seriously. So, by keeping the bar high, it forces the filmmakers to raise their bar as well.
Yeah.
So you're actually helping filmmakers put out a better product by raising your bar.
That's a great way to look at it.
Well,
actually.
I mean, there's no other way to look at it. You know what I mean? I mean, when people, I myself have gotten films in B-list festivals. You know what I mean? And it's not the same. I mean, you get the little palm leaf to put on your poster, but at the same time, it's Tribeca is just Tribeca. You know what I mean? It's just it's got a little bit more. It's got a little bit more clout. There's no other way to put it.
Well, I have to say, one of my favorite parts of the job is, when we make all the selections. And this year I watched 1,200 of the submissions myself. Once we make those final selections, I'm the one that calls that filmmaker on the phone. I don't send an email. I call them and I say, hi, guess what? Because that reconnects me.
Oh, yeah,
you're
that's
so
it's a
tired
great
after
feeling, yeah.
after the process. Once you've locked the program, you're so tired. And to hear that joy and disbelief and, that's so much fun.
Yeah, well, in some cases, you're changing people's lives again.
Yeah, it's fun. It's really fun.
Now, I didn't want the interview to go without mentioning this. On a personal note, you produced a documentary called Let's Roll.
I did. I executive produced.
Yeah.
Correct.
And it's about 6 firefighters who bicycled their way across the country
Yep.
to help raise money for the 9/11 victims.
Correct.
And the money went to the Dennis Leary.
The Leary Firefighters
Yeah.
Foundation.
Did that give you a different perspective, being a producer? Did that give you a different perspective when you watch some of the films that you get now of the work and the dedication that goes into producing something?
Yeah, well, I have produced big, giant live events and other different small pieces before. In this case, my role on this film was really to help the filmmaker, it's a first-time feature filmmaker, get it to the finish line.
Okay.
So I was really involved in the editing process with him and getting it in the best shape to submit to the film festivals and developing that material that he needs to use on his website and for press. And, I brought to the table my skill set, which is kind of getting it to the finish line.
Yeah.
And that is very gratifying to me. I have worked part-time for Dennis Leary for the Firefighters Foundation since, 2003. So that's where I encountered these guys to begin with, was because of I knew about the ride.
Right.
And then I wanted to get involved with the film because I think it's a story about humanity. I mean, these 6 guys, they didn't really know each other. One's 61, one's a professional triathlete, one barely rode a bicycle in his life. So it's a journey, and they stay in firehouses along the way, and what happens to them emotionally and physically as they go across the country was something that I was fascinated by. To get back to your question, what was interesting to me, because when I've produced big events for Disney, for Sony, for Tribeca, I'm the big cheese. I'm running the show. When you're working with a director, you always have to respect it's their film. It's, in the end, it's their film. So that was the learning curve for me, was that I kept saying to the director, listen, I'm going to offer you my advice based on 30 years of working in this business, but in the end, you wake up every morning and the film is yours. You're the director. So you make the decision,
Right.
what advice you want to take and what advice you don't. And that was that director-producer relationship was interesting for me.
Well, that's what I mean. It gave you a different
Yeah,
maybe not
a different perspective on it.
respect
Yeah.
for the filmmaker, the director in
it's
general.
hard.
Yeah.
And I understand, working with a director, how emotionally vulnerable you are with every piece of work that you create. You are inexorably connected to it.
Right.
You know,
It's like a director's child.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Their film. Yeah.
And so, yeah, it did give me a different perspective. Of course, docs are very different than features. I can't even imagine what it would be like to produce a feature narrative.
Right.
I want to try one day, but you know, it was a good experience for me.
No, I would imagine as someone who programs films to
Yeah.
actually work on a film would have been
Yeah.
seeing it on that side of the fence, so to speak.
And I was thrilled. You know, when we got invited, the film's making its world premiere at Newport Beach Film Festival this week.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I was thrilled.
Yeah, well,
I was thrilled to get invited.
get to
I
go
was
to
on the other side of the.
I was just going to say, yeah.
I can't go because it's
Oh.
during the time of Tribeca.
Timing.
But the director and the firefighters will be there, and that'll be great. But you know what I mean.
You'll be there in spirit.
I was so happy to get the invitation, just like the filmmakers.
So
that
now
I
you know
called.
what filmmakers feel like trying to get in your festival. Yeah,
I do.
You know, it was a question I was going to ask, but you kind of already answered it in one of your other answers about, you know, a lot of people do shorts just for the exposure, and there's usually not too many financial outlets for short films.
Yep.
There's some distribution here and there. And I was going to ask, but you kind of touched on it maybe with the website that you're starting, that maybe there will be a chance for, you know, maybe with the added exposure of that may come some kind of financial reward.
Yeah, I think, you know, with the Oscar, the Oscar shorts, they always have a really great platform. They go out on iTunes and they get a theatrical release, and you know, but they generate a certain public awareness to begin with. You know, they have there's a certain hook there that exists. I think, you know, as far as picture show, you know, we're not asking the shorts. We are paying the filmmakers to show
That's
their
what I mean.
shorts.
There's some kind of financial
There
benefit.
is,
Yeah.
but trust me, it's still not a drop in the bucket.
Well, it's better
but it's
than
something. What it does to me is, even if I give you X hundreds of dollars, it's saying that I value the work. I value you licensing this work to me, and I shouldn't get it for free. You know, it's their work. It's,
Right,
it's
right.
Like,
Well, you
why
know,
would you
a lot
wouldn't-
of people take advantage of the fact that, you know, like actors will work for free and whatever will work for free, but it's nice that, you know, there is some kind of respect. It's like, you know, somewhere someone respects the process and not just uses a starving artist to, you know, to further their needs.
No, I'm very pleased. I mean, frankly, I'm very pleased with the Maker partnership. They're amazing, and they are in great part how this is even possible. You know, so I'm curious. I'm very curious to see how it develops. I mean, and if it goes through the roof, then maybe other people are going to get on the bandwagon, and then there's more. Again, the more opportunities we have to get this work in front of an audience that is, you know, discerning, that is intelligent, that wants to watch the work, and that, you know, it elevates it from what we generally perceive as internet content.
True. Well, again, that's the future at this point too, as well. So you're embracing that as well.
Yeah.
It's not something that you even could have done probably 10 years ago.
No, absolutely
But
not.
yeah. But I think it's great. And Sharon, thank you so much
Thanks,
for talking.
Rudy.
I'm sure
Love it. Thank
everyone will
you.
find this very interesting.